What's up, boys? Happy Thursday night football tonight. I'm squeezing in this video kind of last minute. Uh, been dealing with a little bit of a cold since I got back from Vegas. Since I got back from Buffalo, kind of felt like Vegas, to be honest. A little bit of a fog. First off, just want to address last week's uh, controversial shenanigans. I apologize for being that guy that didn't set his lineup. In full disclosure, I had the wedding that I went out there for was Saturday night. I rolled in at about 4:30 a.m. Slept through half of the opening slate of games. So by the time I went into the wedding, DJ Chark was good to go. That was the last I had heard. Obviously, that was not the case. I will do better. I will be better. And I'll refer any further questions, comments, concerns to my attorneys and my agent, and they'll handle those for me. But no, in all seriousness, that's not okay, and I can understand the concern there. But anybody that knows me knows that I'm not that guy. I've made it clear I'm fine with losing this season, but I'm also not going to turn down the opportunity to win, especially if I can knock someone out of the playoffs, especially someone like Tim. So um, we'll be better, and hopefully that's the last of that. So, anyways, let's jump right into week 4. As far as our matchups, it was pretty uneventful outside of Tim and I's matchup. Nothing too earth shattering, nothing too surprising here. Congrats to our winners. I think the biggest matchup is the Cup to Canada over Mr. Ambassador win. I mean, Eve had himself a hell of a week. Congrats to you, buddy. Crushed Sergey, and it was a must win, but this was a dominant performance, and I'm sure both sides of this are feeling the ramifications of it. Sergey kind of turns into now must win territory, as Tim pointed out in his video. 2 of the next 3 is very important going forward. If he loses 2 of them, he's on the outside looking in. Same kind of goes to full Jerry at this point. Kyle's been running roughshod through this league. No surprise to him. Really shouldn't have been a surprise to any of us. And not a surprise given that, he's come through pretty much unscathed with injuries thus far. Full Jerry, it turns into the same thing as with Sergey, needing to win 2 of the next 3. It just shows you, how quickly things can turn in fantasy and how short the regular season really is. But Moncton Meerkats well on their way to a playoff seed and to a deep playoff run. Brady's third dynasty also getting the win. I'm abbreviating my recaps this week. Obviously, I'm kind of cutting it close just with the Thursday night game. So I want to make sure we can jump into upcoming matchups, but have to give the winners their due. Brady's third dynasty. Ryan out to 3-1, looking good on the year. Even with some concerns with some of his players not performing where we expect them to. Maybe some question marks heading forward. Could Ryan be that team that, either Travis or I is able to upset, or, full Jerry is able to get a win out? It's looking like maybe there's some chinks in the armor here. But for Travis, dropping 130, got to feel good about that. Looking good for, the outlook for his team this season. And then, trust the process, Bills Mafia. In reality, I was leaning against starting Isaiah in that spot. So I'm not sure that it's a given that I would have won this matchup. But Tim's not probably feeling great. Well, you pulled out a win, go to 3-1. You're feeling good about that. But the 129, losing JT, it looks like Swift's not playing. Javonte out for the year. Where's Kyle Pitts? This is just this is a nightmare outcome for this season for Tim's team at this point. But still gets the win, so still on his way to the playoffs. All right, let's turn it up. Let's go to this week's matchups. We'll start right off the bat. Bills Mafia versus Cup to Canada. This one should not be close. No drama. We're gonna get a full lineup start here. But best case scenario, I think for my squad, it's breaking 100. And for Eve, build off last week's performance. Let's see, what this team is made of, that it can be that consistent, high scoring output team week in, week out. Obviously, the biggest concern I think at this point is that QB2 spot, starting Teddy Bridgewater, who should be serviceable against the Jets. I think he's proven in the past that he can get, a decent output at least. But the strength of this team, is not that QB2 play. It's the rest of his studs. I mean, let's see Derrick Henry show out against a pretty shoddy Washington defense. Cooper Kupp just needs to continue doing his thing. He's crushing it this year. Top to bottom. I mean, this team is deep now, looking good outside of kind of that concern with QB2. But yeah, I mean, Eve's got Melvin Gordon there too tonight. Obviously looking at that on his bench, but probably looking at the best output he's going to get from him going forward. So we're going to take Eve in this one. I'll keep it short. This one, I could get doubled up in this one. It should not be close. So that would be, looking at Eve going to 3-2, going from the bottom of the mix now right back up to the top. Got to be feeling good there. All right, next one up for me, Trust the Process versus Mr. Ambassador. This week we have huge matchups that are really going to sway everything that Tim went over last week. All of those charts, all of those predicted outcomes, wins needed, rest of season schedules, everything is contingent on this week. It's an absolutely massive week. And we have some really fun matchups outside of Eves and I. The rest of these are going to be really tight, really close, and hopefully we're not decided till Monday night. Obviously, right off the bat, we have a very close projection here. Tim sitting at 3-1, Sergey at 2-2. I think Sergey needs the win more than Tim, just with everything that Tim talked about in his video. Sergey's got to win 2 of the next 3, and to steal 1 here would feel very good. I don't think he's going to get it done. I think Tim, even with all the injuries, is going to pull out the win on this one. And I really think it's going to be the guys that we expected at the beginning of the year to pull Tim's team. I think they're breaking out together in this week. I think we're seeing Justin Jefferson have a big game. I think Kyle Pitts is going to have a big game. And then I think we're going to see a CeeDee Lamb performance. I think with those 3 guys and with everyone else, A.J. Brown, the Drake Londons, I think with those guys just doing what they've already been doing this season, I think Tim gets this win. My biggest concern with Sergey's team just this week are some of those guys that have been pretty up or down since the season started. AJ Dillon's had a great year so far. But we got to see what he does against this Giants defense. That looks better than I think anyone could expect. DK Metcalf up against New Orleans. New Orleans secondary is always a strong part, and they're always really good at shutting down number 1 wide receivers. So we'll have to see if he's able to break through that. It's just a lot of these things, these matchups for Sergey aren't looking great, and especially not what you want to see, and it's a must win like this. So I'm taking Tim this week. So that would put Tim at 4-1, Sergey at 2-3. Again, further separating kind of the top from the bottom there when we go through what Tim listed out as his tiers. I also think Sergey is contending for that 4th spot, but every win matters. So this would be a hard one, and one that, if Sergey does pull out, he's going to be feeling good looking at the playoff picture. Let's take a look at another close one. Full Jerry versus 4-putt. I mean, John and Travis, who would have guessed we would have this sort of matchup, tight as can be, 5 weeks into the season. Full Jerry 2-2, Travis 0-4, but Travis is 0-4. His team doesn't feel like it's an 0-4 team. I mean, he's gotten some breaks with injuries, and some of his bench guys now stepping into some prime roles. This team has all the makings of an upset squad now, and I think they're going to get it done this week. Travis, the process has worked out well for you. This team is very clearly built different, and I think they're going to squeak out a win this week over Full Jerry. John's dealt with some issues, some down weeks, some injuries. Who knows if St. Brown plays this week? It's looking maybe, although I don't think he practiced today. Gabe Davis has been pretty disappointing. It's just been a lot of that for John. And it's just the injury bug too, biting him. I don't know. I don't know how John upset the fantasy gods with and all these injuries. I think we joked last year, every time John traded someone to you, that player was hurt really quick. But it seems like injuries just find this team. So yeah, just based on that alone, I'm taking Travis in an upset. Although on paper at this point it doesn't truly look like one. Burrow and Sunday Night Football, I think, is going to be a show. I think he's just been waiting, and that whole offense just has been waiting to actually perform as they should. Rodgers is, playing in the morning. Who knows what that means, but and then you've got Najee on the other side going against the Buffalo defense, and they've been pretty stellar so far. So obviously, with Pittsburgh, at this point, you're queuing in on Najee to shut him down, shuts that offense down. So you can't. I'm not thinking you're going to be able to bank much on a great game from him. I'm sure they're still going to funnel it through him because he's pretty much their offense at this point. But like I said, I'm going Travis with the upset, which is going to just completely cloud up this playoff picture. It's going to get weird. Okay, and then finally, Moncton Meerkats versus Brady's Third Dynasty. Maybe a championship preview. I know Eve would have something to say to that, but last year's champ versus this year's front runner. Fun matchup, 4-0 versus 3-1 right out of the gate here. And it's going to be tight. I think I need to put respect on Kyle's team. I've been doubting it. I've been calling it, the old dude injury prone. It's never going to work. They're going to go down, whatever. I own that. And this team has absolutely proved me wrong every step of the way. And I'm done. I can't continue to harp on that same thing. So I'm taking Kyle to go 5-0 at this point. It's going to take a great effort from one of our other teams to beat Kyle. He's just stacked, and he's stacked with guys that week in and week out at this point are proving to be productive. He has that consistency piece, but he also has some upside guys. And again, they're staying healthy. It's the key. So, we're 5 weeks in at this point. Everyone's dealing with injuries. So I think for me to continue to harp on health and, history and whatever, it doesn't make sense anymore. So really just looking at his squad, it's as close, I think, to a perfect fantasy squad as you can find. Yes, Ryan Tannehill as your QB2, whatever. What does Dak do when he comes back? He wasn't doing great in the first place. Yeah, that's fine. But top to bottom, he's got it all. He's got how many, in a redraft league, this would be game over. So anyway, all that to say, I think these are two really, really good teams. But I've got to put the respect on Kyle. Great job assembling your team. What you're doing is working, obviously. And the vision is there. So I'm excited for this matchup. If Kyle pulls this out, goes to 5-0, Brady's Third Dynasty at 3-2, we'd have Eve at 3-2. We'd have Tim at 4-1. Did I take Tim? Yeah, 4-1. And then a couple teams at 2-3, and Mr. Ambassador and Full Jerry trying to squeeze up into that 4 spot. But that's going to get tough too. With at that point looking at, we'd be looking at Eve sitting in the 4 spot at 3-2. You're 2 games back if you're Mr. Ambassador and Full Jerry. So there'd be some soul searching if everything came to fruition. um, for those two teams. So that would be interesting to see. So yeah, just to recap, I'm gonna go Eve. I'm gonna go trust the process. We're gonna take Travis over John, and then I'm gonna take Kyle over Brady's third dynasty. So a few upset surprises maybe, but like I said, I like the drama, and I like if those outcomes hold. I like where that puts our league, just as far as the scrambling and figuring out if we have contenders or pretenders in our midst. So I hope everyone enjoys this week, and yeah, go Bills. Shoot, I forgot what my sign off was supposed to be. BG60 out.